Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the Beehive and welcome to another Help Me Rhonda video. Not a recipe, but this is actually something that I get asked is how I edit, how I create thumbnails, and this and that. So I thought I would start doing a little bit of a series on the Help Me Rhonda as far as like how I edit, maybe equipment that we use, how I make my thumbnails, which is what today's video is, because I think that's the most requested that I do get is how we make our thumbnails. So I'm gonna go through a simple step-by-step process that I do, and if you guys want to keep seeing more videos like this, please be sure to let me know over on the community tab. But without further ado, let's see how I create thumbnails. Alright, so my typical way of creating a thumbnail is either one, to capture it in camera as a video file and then export it as a still image. And let me see if I have one of my videos saved where I did that, because I don't usually keep, yeah, here, this one. Alright, so this was my video that I did for how I cut up my vegetables and things like that. Super easy. You guys should go check out that video. The way that this worked is I just stood in front of the camera and did a image that I liked. Let's say it was this one right here. Then I would just go over to my software and export it as a frame, which is basically a still image. And then it would go wherever I save it, basically. All right. And I'm not going to do that right at this moment. So that's one way that I capture my thumbnails. The other way I capture my thumbnails is to skim through the video and find an image that would look good on a thumbnail that is relatable to my title. And so, like, let's say this one, I want to use this one, right? So again, it's the same process, but I didn't plan for the thumbnail. I'm just grabbing it out of the video already. And then I will, export it into the file. All right, so I'm going to use this file here to demonstrate how I turn this into a thumbnail. Now, I can tell you this image was planned. She posed for it, so it's nothing that I pulled out of the video. Although I think this clip was still in the video, but it was planned, if that makes sense. An image like this, I mean, it looks okay, right? But I do certain things that I feel like makes the image pop, if you will. And oh, I use Adobe Photoshop, if you guys are wondering. It's right there. Back to the image. What I usually do is I like to blur some of the background of this image, because creating a blur creates like a depth of field, if you will, which is very eye appealing in my opinion. So what I will do is I'll take my selection tool here, and I have it set on the quick selection tool, and that allows it to basically select up to hard lines. You see how it automatically knew where to go. But yeah, so let's go in here, and it's not always perfect, and I'm going to show you how I get that better. All right, and I think I'll just blur it to the road edge here. And sometimes it goes into the image, so I'm going to hit my Option key. I am on a Mac, by the way, and it's still okay. I mean, this happens. I'm going to make my brush size a little bit smaller here so I can get in a little bit closer, and hopefully it'll grab those edges that I want. And it seems to be doing an alright job. All right, I don't want it to go there. I want to stop it right there at the road edge and then get rid of all these little marching ants that it creates. And this doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see, it's not really perfect. And sometimes you do have to zoom in like this. And if you really want to fix it where you really want those lines, you can get more detailed, right? So, but again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And sometimes you'll know if it's not perfect because when you blur the background, it'll just look odd. And then you'll be like, oh, okay, I want to select more or less of it. All right, so we are going to select the road over here as well, because we selected it on the other side. All right, so let's take a look now and see what that looks like. File, blur, Gaussian blur. And so it's set at a 3. Sometimes I will go pretty strong at a 10, but not with this one. I think that looks really odd in my opinion. So let's try a 5, and that looks much better in my opinion. So we're going to stick with the 5, and I'm going to click OK here. And now what I want to do is take the marching ants away, right? So deselect. And you can see it in the image in some places where it's very noticeable what I did. And so what I will do to fix those edges where I blurred is I will go in and just use my blur brush, right? Kind of small, and blur those hard edges in like so. And sometimes I even go down the line here a little bit, and then come over here as well, and just kind of blur those edges. And I think, in my opinion, that looks pretty good. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I always like to sharpen my image, and I always go with sharpen more first and see how that looks. Sometimes it's too much, and I'll just do just a regular sharpen. But I'm going to keep this sharpen more there, because keep in mind, this is a thumbnail, so they are small, so you really want them to pop, if you will. All right, now I look at the overall image and ask myself, does it look bright enough? Does it need more color to really make it stand out? And with this one, I am going to definitely go in and adjust the highlights and the settings. And as you can see right there, boom, like look how much brighter that is, okay? And again, these settings don't work with every thumbnail, but I think it works really well with this one to make it nice and bright. And then you can still go in here and adjust these, so the sliders, the shadows make it brighter. And you definitely want a little bit dark of shadow because it just makes everything stand out. Here are the color options, and as you can see, it doesn't need much to really make it stand out. The thing you really want to be careful when you're adjusting color on an overall image is your skin tones. You don't want the person to end up looking like they're orange or red. And obviously that's way too much, so we're going to bring it back. I just wanted to show you the extreme there. But all right, so yeah, I'm going to keep that there, and that looks pretty good. But let's go ahead and just see, for sake of coloring, let's try some hue and saturation. No, I'm not going to try hue and saturation. Let's try vibrance. I go between the both. Now, vibrance just gives everything just a bit of vibrance, if you will, right? And then saturation is pretty self-explanatory, and like that's way too much. You see how that changes our skin color? And we definitely don't want that. I think actually what I might do, we'll go at a 2. Right? And you can also click this preview button here and see how it's just very, very subtle, right? But enough on a thumbnail that it's going to look awesome. And the other thing I wanted to point out too before I go any further is this thumbnail, when you export it from your video file, okay, the sizing is already sized appropriately for a thumbnail. If you were to take a picture with, let's say, your iPhone, which is fine, you can do that, or a camera, or whatever the case, the dimensions are not set as thumbnail size dimensions, all right? And if you guys want to see a video on how to do that, let me know in the comments below. If they're on, they're probably not. Head over to the community tab, you guys, and you guys can see a post over there on how I make thumbnails, and comment over there. So yeah, all right, let's keep moving on. Now, what I always like to do with my thumbnails is I always do a border. I've done this forever, and basically I select everything, and then you want to go to select, modify, contract, and I always do 20 pixels. That seems to be a pretty decent size. And then select inverse, and that you can see where the border is, right? Because we're on this background layer, it won't fill properly. So if you go, like, let me show you, let's change this to red. As you can see, it's just not filling properly. So what you want to do in this situation is you want to create a new layer, and then when you fill it, it fills over top. Think of these as being stacked, right? So anything that's above this is going to show on top of it. It's like you're stacking things on top of each other. So if you were to drag this below your background layer, which you can't because you can't, the background layer stays on the bottom, so we'll switch that over there. If you bring it down below, see how it hides it and you can't see it. So yeah, always leave it up there. All right, and then you do select, deselect. Now, let's talk about the borders and things like this, because my friend Candy gave me a little tip on this and I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and I stopped doing this, is do not create red borders around your thumbnails, because the way that YouTube is designed at the moment right now is when you watch a video, whether you watch it all the way through or not, it shows a red bar showing that you've either watched the video or part of it. Well, if you have a red border around your thumbnail, it's very deceiving to the eye, and it makes the person think that, oh, I already watched that video. Just for those of you who are creating thumbnails, stop doing the red borders. Thank you, Candy. From our family nest, go subscribe to their channel for this tip. This is a really big tip here. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to show you what I normally do, and that is I go with the yellow. I think yellow, in my opinion, I don't know, it just makes it stand out pretty good. I mean, you can choose any color you want, but I've been going with the yellow. I seem to like it a lot. All right, so this image is not done yet. I always like to try to add something else onto the thumbnail, and it might be a picture, it might be text. In this situation, when I did this thumbnail, I had done text, and I had put new car, right? And then we're going to resize this, and I'm assuming you guys already have Photoshop and you know how to use it, but that was like Command T there. So new car, and move it wherever you wish, right? And you could keep it the same color if you like, or change it. I do just like to have different color variations in my thumbnails. And so yeah, that's just what I like. All right, let's try this. Let's go with a dark blue. I want to see what this looks like. Now, that looks kind of dull, right? So what I will normally do with my text here is I will always add a stroke, or sometimes I will also add a outer glow, depending on what I'm trying to get a border around. A lot of times with images where I've cut out the background, I will use outer glow. But for this, since it's such a fine line and it's text, I'll use stroke, and then usually I will go with like a 10 on that. And then I usually will do either white or black, and I think black is just too dark. White really stands out more. And then you can also add in like a drop shadow. And again, this is really subtle. You can't see it a whole lot, but you can kind of see it moving. I'm just doing this so you can see it moving. With the text, I just kind of kept it whatever it was at, but you know, obviously you can change your text, like what style that you want it to be, that suits your image the best. I have a ton of text. I think I downloaded a program that had like, I don't know, 500 some odd fonts or whatever. But yeah, you could get really creative and add text. You could have put something like over here that said beep beep or something like that. If you want to find an image to place on your thumbnail, what I normally do is I use Safari, and let's just do car, and then you always want to search PNG, or you can do transparent. You can do car PNG or car transparent. And then you go to images. Now be careful, make sure images that you're grabbing are not copyrighted, obviously. And then not all the time it brings in a transparent image. This one is for sure. So just for sake of the video, obviously I would never put this on there, but we'll put this on there. And you see how it has like, there's no background, right? Let's do a Command T. Let's have some fun with this. We're going to go ahead, flip this horizontally. I'm basically going to try to match the car that is on the image. This could take a little bit of time though. I might not want to do this right now. You get the idea. There is a way that you can like skew the image and really match it up, right? That would be kind of funny, but we're not going to do that. for sake of time, you guys, let's say you wanted just to have the image on there, like maybe just put on the thumbnail itself. You could do that. And then you want to make it pop, and you can just add a stroke to it. Okay, so here's a great instance where it just doesn't work because the car actually has a shadow under it, so I would not add that on there. That just doesn't look right. But yeah, guys, that's about it. And then from here, I would just basically save as and export it as a JPEG file. And like I said, it's already resized and ready to go for YouTube. So what did you guys think? Did you think that I actually do it different, use a program online? I know a lot of people will use like Canva. There was another one I used to use years ago, like 3 years ago, and I can't remember the name of it. I'm sure one of you guys would know. And they switched over to a paid service, and then I stopped using them. But yeah, basically, I've been using Photoshop for quite some time now. Now, I will say, with Photoshop, I don't know if you can buy that software. I pay a $10 fee a month, which gives me Photoshop, and I use Lightroom. It gives me access to both those pieces of software for $10 a month. And I really like it. It's not, I don't think it's, you know, that much. I think it's pretty good. I've actually had that service for quite some time now, because I do take pictures on the side and I want a way to edit them and things like that. So yeah, that's what I use, and if you can buy it, go for it. I love Photoshop. I think it's a great program. But yeah, that was just the basic how-to on my thumbnails. I hope you guys enjoyed it. All right, that's actually gonna do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe if you're new, and don't forget to buzz that like button. See you guys tomorrow.